For this episode, I'm going to talk about a day trip, a tour bus I took in London. And this is something I recommend if you're in London. I mean, not a weekend would probably be too short, but if you're in London, maybe a week or so, or this is your ninth trip, like mine, to London, then I'm finally getting around to doing something like this. This is the tour. So I would basically bought a tour online and they pick you up in a bus, or you go to the bus place where they pick you up and you take a tour and they drive you. I probably know how the tour buses work, but that's what I finally did. This was through Viator.com. Interesting name. And the tour was through Golden Tours. I selected it just because that was one of the highest rated ones on the website and most popular. So usually if they have a good reputation, they have something to protect and they have good stars for a reason. So yeah, I always go with the best one first and also the cheapest one. Now this one was like listed out at $85. However, that's so they can just get like a low price listing. That doesn't include the entrances. And if you're doing something like this and you don't do the entrances, what's the point? Then you're just getting an $85 bus ride with a lot of parking and waiting. So yeah, you would definitely want to, get that. So with that, it was like 129 pounds. Conversion rate was $160, which to me, yeah, because that included the three entrances to the kind of the parks and the bus and everything else. So not gratuity, obviously. Tip what you want if that's your thing. So I would say the three places that were on this tour are Windsor, Castle, Stonehenge, and Bath. I would say all three are definitely worth seeing. Some are worth seeing again. For Windsor Castle, this is a place that had the most beautiful, just the insides were one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, the most exquisite or opulent and just wow, mind-boggling how just awesome these rooms are. I wish I could share them. I wish I could like just post some photos. No photography anywhere inside. Now outside the castle, yeah, you can take pictures of the bricks and the walls and stuff like that, and the full stream running down. But inside, absolutely no photography. I did see some people like sneaking, and I did see one person get kind of busted and humiliated. It wasn't worth it to me. I mean, it's their house, their rules. I'm not going to. Once in a while, I may break rules like that, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like I understood the reason. I even talked to one of the curators or kind of the watchers there, whatever they call them. And it's just kind of about because it is a active castle and people do live there, and so there's a couple of reasons. Like if you were taking photos and you were part of a scam or some group, meant to come in and steal some one of those Oceans 13 or whatever type thing, then yeah, it would be easier for them to kind of relay information where the guards are. I don't know. There's a lot of, and plus privacy. I mean, it actually makes it more awesome that people do live there. So when you're going through these rooms, you just think, yeah, at other times people are in here actually dining or like hanging out or talking. I hate to think they're just sitting there watching TV, but maybe they could be. I didn't see any TVs though, but yeah, it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot. I've seen some really beautiful places, but these rooms are just amazing. The paintings, and I don't know how much are originals or recreations, but in either case, it's just yeah, it's just so sad. No photos. Would I ever go there again? Probably not. I think I saw what I saw without being able to take pictures. It changes things for me because I know as beautiful as I saw, I'll forget over time what I saw. The photos are the way for me to kind of remember that and share with others. So I really didn't like that, but I understood. Yeah, so it's a cool place. It's worth visiting once. And there's a little, I guess, town around it. It was hard we didn't have any time for that. We didn't have a full hour in the castle. So it was kind of just almost racing through. And I don't think I even went inside the chapel or whatever, or the abbey there. Yeah. So, which makes it interesting because if I didn't get the full experience, maybe I should go back. I would go back if I was traveling with someone and she wanted to go there, then I would go again. You know, that's the kind of person I am. All right. So after that, it was Stonehenge second. Stonehenge is pretty cool, but it's kind of for the photo. It's a bunch of stones. There's a lot of history to it. So there's amazing history. So that's another cool thing about the tour bus is they kind of give you all this history as you're going. And I might remember some of that. I might not, but I did like the history lessons and learning about it. And even how they move the stones, the theories of rolling it over logs, which actually, even before being told that, that was my guess, or maybe I heard that somewhere, but it kind of makes sense. You put them on logs because they said the wheel wasn't really invented yet. It's like, you don't even have to invent the wheel to figure. If you can make stones to like predict the summer solstice, whatever, you probably got an idea. Chop down a tree and put something on it, and it rolls. It's not like rocket science. So yeah, even without a formal wheel. Yeah, so it was like, okay, but it was cool. They had some just neat stuff there, and it's really well done. The thing is, I changed my trip date because I was scheduled to go on a rainy day, and when I saw the weather, I thought, oh, I'll cancel that one, and I rebooked a new one on a sunny day because it's like, how often do you get sunny days in December in London or in England? So I did that, and I was so glad because the weather was great. It was like sunlight all day and sunny, extremely cold, probably 26 degrees, but it was actually so. I'm just so glad I changed the date. Now, yeah, Stonehenge, it's good once. I would say I probably would not do Stonehenge again. There would be no reason to. And you definitely do not need to do a trip just to go out to Stonehenge and back. Stonehenge is a mall near a place I used to live. Stonehenge and back, it's just, it wouldn't be worth it at all. So yeah, as part of a pit stop on another tour. And it was kind of not too crowded. I guess it's all relative, but there was a fair amount of people who were there. And I asked the tour guides, like, oh man, it's just like during the high season or whatever, it's just insane. So I kind of thought, I don't know if I'd want to be with those crowds. I'm just like having to struggle to get up to the front. I was able to take some good photos, so I think that was good going this time of year, December. And the other almost weird advantage, because normally Stonehenge is in the middle and there's a ring around it, kind of separated, so you can't go up and touch the stones or do things people used to. But there's a ring around, a huge ring, and you can kind of walk around. It's a cool thing, except that means at any given moment there's probably going to be people in your photo on the other side of the ring. So I thought, I don't know if I like. Well, anyway, it wasn't a problem because of the cold lately. They actually shut down a lot of the ring due to protect the grass and stuff like that, which is kind of odd. It's just like, okay, I guess they have their reasons, but yeah, it protects the grass and the little layer of earth they have. Just be cautious. So we still had about, I would say, 30% of the ring we could go on, but the other 70% of maybe it was like 40%. But that was kind of cool because there was nobody in the back of your photo. So that was a kind of advantage of that. But yeah, and the funny thing is I had too little time at Windsor and too much time at Stonehenge, because like you take your photos, you're done. I mean, you can learn the history and stuff like that, and that is kind of cool, but so much time you can spend at the museum. Third part was Bath. Bath is awesome. The baths are just fascinating, and it's cool, the thermal baths, and you get to see how which is interesting because I wasn't at Pompeii, and I think theirs were heated. So they kind of light fires and they heat the water in their baths. But here it's just natural, so you don't even have to heat the water yourself. So the Romans took advantage of that, and the rest, of course, is history. Cool place, cool town. I would go back there. Definitely would go back there. I don't even know if I'd go into the baths again. I got my photos of the bath, but the city itself, or whatever, the town, was just some cool stuff there, some cool food, and I didn't really eat or drink anything. I was kind of fasting for the day, but yeah, so I would say Bath is a place to definitely check out. And yeah, he said a lot of people make it a weekend. I don't know if a whole weekend in Bath, I don't think I would do. I think I could say overnight, definitely. Yeah, a day overnight, leave the next morning, but I wouldn't do a whole weekend, I don't think. But anyway, all right, so those are the three things. And I'll go through the photos too, if anyone's still sticking around, because that's not quite, maybe it's more exciting. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Let's check out the photos. Okay, I won't cover all the photos because I took hundreds, but I will cover some of the ones I think are kind of cool. This is Victoria Station, where they kind of picked us up. And you get some views around there. You get a screen in front of you where you change languages, even though it didn't matter because they're only narrating in one language. So I don't know how that's supposed to work. The bus itself is pretty cool. And yeah, that's another bus. I don't know why I took that photo. So as you go through the seats, this was so funny because it was on top of the when you look up just up there. And I don't understand what any of these things mean. I thought, why do you have these things? I don't know what they mean. So you kind of pass some places that are cool and you get some ideas like, oh, maybe I'll come back here later. And I'll make a note of that. And I actually literally made notes of that kind of stuff. So one thing I recommend is always take a photo of your tour bus number or have a good memory. Just make sure you note that because you could have several tour buses from Golden Tours or something like that. And you kind of want to know what bus to get back to. They're really kind of strict about you got to be back at a certain time or we're leaving without you. We didn't leave without anyone and there were a few people late, but it's just good to kind of be aware. So you kind of get there and you go up these steps. This is Windsor Castle, of course, and then you go up these like cool steps and it's an overpass, and you get to like the upper part of the city, and you can see the castle in the distance, and you kind of walk and walk and walk and walk and go through all this stuff. Hey, look, Merry Christmas! It sure is. Lots of shops. We spent. This is cool. This was a shortest street in England. It was like it says 51 feet. It's just pretty cool. And I actually took a picture of that. That is the shortest street in England. There's a few people I made friends with on the trip, although probably I guess I'll never talk to them again, but for a day. Yeah, some cool streets. And then you're waiting out in this cold. In fact, this is kind of this is the end of the line there. Where you're just we waited probably half an hour there. So it was again 26 degrees. So that wasn't too exciting. Well, all right, 23 degrees. There you go. That was not fun. Man, that was cold. We're just sitting there. And then you get in, you can take some photos of the bricks, and it's all snowy. And and of course, people can always pause this if you want to see a picture longer. But yeah, the cannons, and it's just so cool. And then you get inside, and it's like, oh, no photos. So they're like next hour, no photos. But outside again, more photos. And see this changing the guard type ceremony, which is pretty cool to watch. And then back in town, a few more streets and a few more shops, and back to the bus eventually, and and we are done. Okay, so now we're on the bus again, and we're going towards Stonehenge. A long drive. They kind of said, "Hey, look at the sign there; it's interesting." Like, okay, it's like, and then Stonehenge. So you can get some great shots because nobody's in the back of you. The only people in the stones are crows. And I took a bunch of them, blah, blah, blah. No reason to show all of them. They're all about the same shot. This is kind of cool. One of the keystones there I guess it was the outer ring. Just amazing. And then the actual stones, crows and stones. This is kind of how they move the stones. They theorize. There wasn't an instruction booklet left behind. One thing, if you look on top, there's a solar panel. I guess they that's just kind of funny. But there's a little bit of light because it can test your strength and see how many of you it would take to pull one of these logs. For most people, it's like 100. But if you're really strong, then maybe 85. I think that was what mine was. And this is kind of cool. You can touch the log. This is the two types of stones, like the blue stone and another type. And you can actually kind of feel them and get an idea. Because you can't touch the actual Stonehenge stones, but you can touch these stones. So it's kind of cool to get a feeling of them. I thought that was a cool exhibit. And then inside, you get some ideas of what people look like. They found kind of a skeleton, and they kind of recreated what this person maybe looked like 5,000 years ago. Cool. And then as you're going along the road, that was it for Stonehenge. Going along again, and you've got a pig farm. I guess pigs are a really big thing out here, pork. So I learned a lot about that. I tried to keep shots out the window, but it's like, what can you do out of a bus window? Unfortunately, by the time I got to Bath, the sun is pretty much going down. Some great shots, but by the time we parked, the sun was kind of gone. So I thought, probably could have got some awesome sunset photos. But then that's why you kind of sometimes want to go out on your own, especially a city like this. But I got a taste of it, so now I know what I like. And then a famous bridge and the small streets. And I actually did go to Sally Lunn's Buns, and I guess they said, well, it's not really good unless you have a toaster or something like that, because they just sell a bun with nothing in it or on it. So I passed, but it was cool to check out. And then the courtyard, and then a lot of shops, and the cathedral, which is, did I go in? I don't know if I went in the cathedral. I think they charge money, and I don't know. You see one cathedral, I still like to go, but it's nothing to miss a cathedral because you're probably going to see the same thing you see in every cathedral or abbey. But again, I still do them. It's just I don't have to at every place. I don't think, I'm missing out, because if I went in, I know exactly what I would have seen. I still do it, but I have that. I'm aware of that now. Still great to take photos of. They pointed out the angels climbing up to heaven. Well, that's cool. Yeah. And then the Roman baths, you're inside, you get to walk around and see the baths, see recreations, see the exhibits and all the details. I don't usually spend a lot of time in this area because I just know I'm going to forget most of it. Just for history, my life, I've just learned that these things are cool, but the photos I'll remember because I can go see them later. But when I see these exhibits, I thought I'll learn a little bit, but I'll forget. So I try to keep that in mind when I'm doing stuff like this. But they were cool. I still took photos. I still checked it out. It's still amazing. Um, even for learning all the history behind it, that cool. But I know I'm going to forget a lot of it. The baths itself, really neat. Pretty amazing. I could not get too many photos of that. Just had to keep taking photos. This was just interesting because the water kind of flows right through on the ground and you can walk over. But if you are clumsy or you do not watch where you're going, this is a kind of a tripping nightmare. Which I'm kind of glad they don't try to overprotect. It's like you're at your own risk. So you shouldn't like screw up history just to kind of make it easier for the people that can't get off their phone when they're walking. So if people trip, that's too bad. But yes, you got to be careful. There weren't many warnings. I guess I'm surprised there weren't a lot of warnings about that because usually, if anything, you can still warn people. The ground is like crazy. And then in the places where the heat of the baths, cool stuff. More baths, more baths. Just and then you get to actually drink some of the water. They say the natural water. I guess it's still filtered a little bit. I'm not going to give you something that's going to mess you up, but I tried it. Pretty cool, good stuff. And the rest of the town, I just kind of walked around, just looked for photogenic sights, the streets, the little river Avon, I guess it would have been, which is pretty cool. Probably really neat in different hours, but it was getting dark, so all the shots left are dark night shots. And okay, and Bath, not much warmer than Windsor, 26. Yeah, better bundle up. Just the irony, 26 degrees, and hey, an ice cream shop. Of course, why wouldn't you want ice cream when it's 26 degrees outside? Ale House would have been nice to get. And then that's it. That's the actually end of the trip because I'm back at the tube station. So there you go. That is Windsor, Stonehenge, and Bath, and I'll probably go online and give it a good review. The tour guy was pretty cool, funny guy, and although he's only going to be working a couple more weeks, I think he's changing jobs or careers. And the driver was great too. They were a good team. They kind of kept us entertained and a lot of good trivia. Definitely got upset if you were not at your meeting place. I was always at the meeting place on time, but for the people that weren't, and definitely get upset if people brought smelly food back on the bus because someone did that, and they never caught the guy, but I knew it was. I didn't want to rat him out, but he actually I think got scared silly, so he wrapped it up or something because the smell was gone. It was fish and chips, but the smell was gone after the tour guy was kind of coming up and down the bus looking for the suspect. So yeah, great tour. I'll probably do another. I'm not going to do another one this time, but I would do another one in the future because they're cool things to do. But a lot of the cities I have gone to, Oxford and Stratford-upon-Avon and stuff like that. So I got to find cities that tour that kind of covers multiple places, but not places I've already been to. So that'll be the challenge for next time. I've talked too long, and that'll be it for this review of tours from day trips from London.